My years are spent helping hundreds of coaches all over the world how to live a life of independence, freedom, and live life on their own terms, essentially, by building an online coaching business and monetizing their skill, their passion, and their purpose. I have a very, very long game mindset. I've had people following me for 2 years that said, haven't spent a penny with you. And I'm like, great, but now you're here. Well, coaches that are just trying to make money, their intention isn't to help people change. I believe that a coach, in terms of their worth, they will lower their self-worth if they don't increase their price over time.
How do you really identify how much you're worth when it comes to adding a service or providing that service? We're here with another podcast with a special guest right here, Mark Coles. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Hamid. Very grateful to be here.
Absolutely. I always say that the guest is the best at introducing themselves. So I'll let the mic go with you, introducing who you are.
Thank you. I'm a fitness professional. I'm an entrepreneur. And I'm a business coach. I've been in the fitness industry 25 years this year, and started off my career as a personal trainer, became a gym owner, and then evolved into the world of online coaching. At that stage, people started to ask me, how are you doing what you're doing? And I was like, well, let me help you. And then I started to help people, and then more people wanted a bit more help. And then I moved into the education sector. And then for quite a long time, I've taught coaches how to be good coaches, how to get great results and build their reputation. And that in turn helps people build their brand. And that's when I made the transition into being a business coach. So now my weeks and my years are spent helping hundreds of coaches all over the world learn how to live a life of independence, freedom, and live life on their own terms, essentially, by building an online coaching business and monetizing their skill, their passion, and their purpose.
Interesting enough that you said you started first as a personal trainer.
Yeah.
What made you decide to go into this career at the beginning?
My father was always used to tell me that life really is important to enjoy it. And it's really important that he tried to teach us to be independent. That was something that he always said. And I was very uncertain who I was. I think a lot of younger people are uncertain, who they are, what their kind of purpose is. I didn't understand what it was, but it was always a niggle inside me that just wasn't very fulfilled. And rather than find out how to be fulfilled, I thought the easiest path would be to just follow my father. And he was a very successful real estate investor.
Oh, wow.
And
he was in the real estate industry.
Yes. He was in the private renter sector in the UK, built a very successful portfolio of real estate in the UK. Sadly passed away at the end of lockdown. My number one mentor in life. But I followed his path and went to university when I was 18. And after 12 months, left university, then went to work for a real estate company, did 1.5 years doing viewings right at the bottom of the kind of ladder, doing viewings, showing people around homes, and then tried to go back to university again.
Why is that?
Because I felt that I was riding off the back of my father's reputation, and I didn't feel I had the credibility, and I felt that I needed a certification, credibility to be able to stand up and say, I haven't been given this job, I've worked for it.
You earned it.
I feel that it was important to go to university and not have the silver spoon laid out for me. And I was, I went to university and I'd worked for my father in another real estate company, but there was this niggle in me that it was just being given to me. So I went back to university and did 6 months and was just unhappy. I spent all day, every day in the gym, near enough. I'd work from the gym. I just found being in the gym was just so much more enjoyable, and it was like more home for me. And then I just said, what if this was my job? I don't know what was going on in my head. Later on in my personal development journey, I understood that it was me guiding myself, which I believe we're very powerful at if we're in tune with that. But I said, okay, I'm going to go to the bank. I didn't tell my father. And I took a loan out of UK pounds, £3,500 pounds. Terrified. and I put it all down on a personal training diploma. And then I went home and told my father, I said, this was one of the scariest things, walking into my father's office, as successful as he was, having backed me and supported me to be in real estate. Dad, I'm going to be a personal trainer. And it was terrifying. And he just said, my boy, if you're happy, you'll be successful, but just remember one thing. You have had a quality of life up to this point. How is this industry going to give you a quality of life that you become accustomed to? And I said, Dad, as long as I'm happy, I'll find a way. And off I went to become a personal trainer, quit the real estate industry. And my first day on the gym floor was with a badge, and I was Mr. No reputation, nothing. And I wasn't my father's son. And that was liberating.
Interesting.
It was liberating that I was me. There was my father's friends were in the gym, and I was the PT trying to talk to people to build my business. And at that time, I felt free. I felt now I can be me. Let the journey begin.
Interesting. So would you say now, I'm sure you're a father right now, would you change the way that you would behave with your own son if you are now a successful business coach and a trainer, or in terms of coaching trainers? What would you say for your son?
One thing I've come to learn is lean into what you love. Because I think there was quite a lot of evidence in my early life from the age of 15 that I loved the gym. I made a home gym we lived on a small we had like a manor house with a drive and outbuildings and, animals. And I'd made one of the end rooms my gym, all with little pulleys and dumbbells. At 16, I used to collect all the magazines, the muscle magazines. The evidence was there that this was something I loved, but it took me till 24
to know.
10 years, because I felt that it was expected of me to be somebody else. And this is not my father's fault in the slightest, but because I've been teaching for many years, and I've done a lot of studying in personal development, I'm going to look for signs of what my son leans into and support the natural progression of that rather than guide him where I feel he needs to be. I will support, but also watch what he's inspired by. That's an important thing that I'm going to be doing.
What do you think in terms of people that are out there without maybe fathers, without parents? How do you think they should guide themselves throughout their life?
I feel that it's so important to have mentors. Books, self-study. I wasn't a very good reader when I was younger. I've got books everywhere now. Books are a gateway to the next step, in my opinion. Podcasts. If today there is one person listening to this that does one thing differently that can change the trajectory, one conversation, we were just talking off air about one coach that's coming to my event very soon. And it's the first time he's got on a plane to come out of the UK and traveling to Dubai to our event. To anybody that has not got the role models and the guidance around them, you can find that environment. He's coming here to find that environment. And in that environment, there'll be one conversation. There'll be one person. There'll be one book recommendation. There'll be something. That's why I think the world of media now is giving up everybody the opportunity to learn. So I would say lean into reading and lean into finding mentorship and guidance.
Can you describe like a typical day when you're coaching those fitness trainers?
Yeah.
How do you go about it with them usually?
My typical day is generally like very early, and I do nothing other than work on growing the business at that time in the morning. And then I train, and then from 1 till 7, I'm mentoring and creating content. I do a lot of educating to our clients all over the world, whether it's running virtual events, whether it's creating in-person events. My day is spent mainly in that afternoon to evening, one-to-one mentoring people. I do group mentoring with people. I still do a lot of study. I still learn a lot.
What kind of study you're actually doing? Is it more of a personal development, as you say?
I've just joined another mastermind.
Oh, wow. Being a coach, you also join with other coaches to learn from.
I've spent hundreds of thousands let's say, dollars on masterminds. I'm 47 now. And I've just invested another chunk of money into another mastermind to learn a skill that I don't know.
And do you feel that every time that you invest on such a mastermind, you're getting something out of it?
Not always. Not always.
Because it's always, for me, especially when I come to business coaches and online Instagram, I kind of get, curious to know whether they truly are looking to add value in my life or they're just trying to take my money.
Well, this is one of the things that's very important to me as a business coach. But I lost quite a bit of money last year in a mistake. And that was something that a lot of people make the mistake of, is I saw the face value, but didn't invest in the depth.
So how do you invest in the depth?
Do your research, talk to people, try and find people that have invested. What's their experience been? Because it's very easy to watch reels and YouTube videos and get caught out by 7-figure Sam or whatever it is and what they've done. See, I believe everybody's trying to build something differently. I build a business. My business is built on integrity and very strong values. I actually help coaches, not anyone. I help coaches build and scale businesses with coaching at the core. Not,
I mean, you don't help fitness trainers train people, or what do you mean?
No, what I mean by coaches is I work with coaches that care about helping people, not people that want to go online just to make money.
So how do you know if this person actually cares about his customers?
I can talk to people on a call. My team are very skilled to know whether they are building a business with integrity or building a business just to make money. And what we want is coaches that want to make money, want to be successful, want to make a huge amount of impact. But when coaching is at the core, you're going to retain clients, you're going to build a brand, you're going to make an impact. You see, one thing that I will not lose as a professional coach is, regardless of the money that I'm trying to make, coaches that we're trying to make, it all started with trying to get somebody to be healthy, leaner, fitter. Well, coaches that are just trying to make money, their intention isn't to help people change. Their intention is to make money. And that doesn't help the fitness industry. So whilst I am monetizing my brand, I still care about the population of people that are trying to learn from our industry to get in shape and healthy. And that's what we can tell. A coach that cares versus a coach that doesn't. And a coach that doesn't loses clients very, very fast. They can make a lot of money in the first 6 months and lose the money very, very quickly. I don't want to have a reputation where I get somebody a load of money to build a business and a brand and then they've lost it. Yeah, that can happen very quickly.
So other than the integrity of what the person is trying to do, what do you think is like the common mistakes of fitness professionals that is happening in the industry?
I think that people at the moment are wanting to go online to make money because they see the $10,000 a month, whatever it is. This is how much you can make online. That's not how personal training industry was created. The personal training industry was hiring a professional to help you to achieve your goals. Whereas the idea of going online is go online and make money. And whereby, of course, coaches can make money and live a life of independence and freedom. You're ultimately building a business that's a business based on service. And if it's based on service, then how can you deliver the service if you're not a great coach? It's a concept for me that I can't understand, that when somebody invests hundreds and thousands of dollars into your knowledge and skill set, you've got to be able to deliver on your promise. The same in restaurants, the same in hotels. There is a standard, and I believe in delivering high value but high standard. And that was something that attracted me to being here, is the standard of everything. And that's what I want to embody in my brand.
So what sets you apart from other different coaches that exist here?
In the space, there are a lot of business coaches that will teach coaches just how to make money. I think that's very naive, because who you become helps you make money as well. And I think that business and building an online business is multifaceted. I believe that you need to have a lot of emotional stability to build a business. You need to build a good brand. You need to be able to get results with clients. You need to be a good marketer. You need to know how to sell. So what separates me is that I focus on multiple different things to help a business grow, but still be here in 10 years' time. I have the vision of wanting to somebody to still be here and thriving and be able to weather the storms that come with entrepreneurship. And I actually help the individual become the person. That's the biggest thing that we do, is we help. A lot of young coaches are not entrepreneurial. They can't deal with the pressures of entrepreneurship. They can't deal with the business going up and down, the volatility. They're not great leaders yet. If they're going to hire somebody, you've got to be a great leader. So we help coaches become leaders, entrepreneurs, money management, help them with a lot with their personal development. The thing that separates us is that we're caring for the whole journey of an entrepreneur, not just the first 6 months while they can make 20,000 and then we leave them.
So you don't only focus on like in the business aspect of coaching people, but as well into their personal development.
100%. When I was doing body transformations and helping people get ready for a photo shoot, that was what I was known for. It didn't sit well with me when somebody got to the end of 16 weeks doing a transformation for a photo shoot, and then 6 months later they were overweight again.
Because the mindset was not there.
Of course, that's the problem. The reason you can't stay in shape has nothing to do with the food. It's to do with the relationship with yourself. And the reason why people make money and then 6 months later they don't have any money is because they're emotionally not conditioned to keep it. Our body, we will always default back to our base layer. So we help people increase their self-worth, their confidence, emotional stability. And when they've got the money, how do you keep it? And then how do you grow on that? And for me, that's there's a lot of coaches want the gratification of the money, but they don't want to do the work to change. But it's only who you become, which is how you keep it.
So now there's a different mindset when it comes to a trainer and when it comes to a business owner.
Yeah.
And this is what I believe you're trying to transfer the person to become from a personal trainer into a business owner. What type of mindset shift has to be there for this person to transform to this person?
I always talk about personal trainer versus coach, number one. A personal trainer is taking somebody through a training session. So if I took you to the gym today for a workout, it would just be a workout. If I took you to the gym with the result of achieving something in 16 weeks, I have to coach you because it's an intentional path towards an outcome. And so a coach, anybody that comes into our world, we have to transition that person into more of an entrepreneurial mind. We have to transfer them more into consider a business. And that means that a percentage of what they do every day has to now focus on business. But there's a reason why we're focusing on business. So now we have to focus on what is the business providing for you? Money, future, career, opportunity. Because a lot of people come into the industry to be a trainer, to just work on the gym, or online coaches to get clients. It's more than that. It's a vision. What are we creating? What is the brand we're creating? It's not having 30 clients online. It's not doing 25 PT sessions on the gym floor. That's your job. It's actually now starting to look at this as a career, as a future, as an opportunity to create something that's longer lasting. If it's legacy led, for some people it will be. But the honesty, the biggest shift that they have to have is that it's way more than just coaching. It's creating something that's long lasting. And that's a shift that most of them take a while to transition into, the entrepreneurship mind.
I mean, when it comes to this branding, personal branding, plays a huge role when it comes to being in the fitness industry. I see that usually a lot of people who are following a certain person, they follow them because they like the body that they see, the person that they aspire to be. So what do you think of the fitness trainers or those who are seeking to have entrepreneurship in the fitness industry, but they don't have the shape of that person? So should that trainer be in shape to be a really entrepreneur in this fitness field?
I'm going to be honest and say that you should. I'm a fitness professional. I don't have to be jacked. I don't have to be, I don't feel that that's complemented my brand at some stages of my life. I was 120 kilos at one point in my life, and I'm 97 now. So big difference. but it served a purpose in the bodybuilding world. It served a purpose in my career in physique development. But if you're a true master of your craft, you'll be an embodiment of your profession. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be absolutely ripped and lean and abs everywhere. But one of the things that we need to be able to speak on camera is confidence. We have to be confident with our craft. And when somebody's not an embodiment of what they teach, I know that it affects a lot of people, especially with the personal branding online. People buy into the person before they buy into the brand. And I think that if the person embodies what they're talking about, it equals incredible credibility. I find that a lot of coaches aren't doing that, which to me normally gives me a bit of a red flag as to their own limitations. So from a personal branding perspective, I think if you're going to sell cars, have a nice car. If you're going to sell, jewelry or watches, dress well. But if you're going to be a personal trainer and a fitness coach, be your own business card.
So your personal image directly reflects how successful you can be in your business.
I don't think it's a reflection of how successful you will be, but I think it's a part of the puzzle. How you look, how you speak, how you present yourself, your knowledge. It's a huge, what we do with our coaches is they may look great, but they won't have a clue how to coach people. So there's a lot of influencers out there in the industry at the moment. Some of them my friends, but the ones that are my friends are good coaches. And there's a lot of them out there who have great bodies and they built a brand and they are selling coaching.
They don't know how to coach.
They don't know how to coach. They have no idea how to coach. When I say, know how to coach, I'm a very good coach. And I'm very proud to be a very good coach. And coaching beyond walking somebody through the gym and showing them the machines. Coaching to me is so multifaceted as well. And helping somebody change is coaching. Helping somebody learn how to train is coaching. And a lot of these fitness professionals, they've got a great body shape. They don't know how to coach. And that
most of them are even in their 20s, they're beginning of their 20s.
Yeah.
So, compared to you, you've been in this field for more than 25 years.
Yeah.
So we were talking about in terms of coaches, online coaches, being so many variety of them over there, but not knowing how to choose exactly the right coach. So from your perspective, your experience, how do I know that this online coach will really teach me the things that I need to know in order to build the body transformation that I need?
I do think that it's important to speak to people that have been through the process with that person still. You can do your research. It's very difficult. I could give you an answer saying, you've got to watch all their videos. The videos are very well created. Copywriting's played a big part. There's a thought process and a psychological process between buying somebody in. They've got funnels, they've got landing pages. Everything's done very, very well. And you buy into that process. But to me, still is actually speaking to people that have been through the process. And when you, for example, get to know somebody like me, when you have that network of the right people, the first thing is to ask people that are actually in the industry at the right level, because they'll give you the guidance whether or not the person that you're speaking to is right. But for a lot of other people out there that know no one else in the industry, it's a decision that they make based on a whim, and that can often go the wrong way for them.
Do you think you should trust the testimonials that you find on the internet? So, for example, every coach usually has a online testimonial, like look at the before and the after of the person. Do you think that sometimes some of the fitness trainers might misguide people and say these were the people that trained under them, but it turns out not?
Well, yes, there are, because about 10 years ago, 2 people in Australia took all of my results and created a business in Australia. And I had to get the lawyers involved and take their website down. So they used all my results. So is there a lot of people using other people's results? 100% yes. When it comes to fat loss, it is not difficult to put somebody on a very calorie restricted nutrition plan, as long as they've got a degree of genetics, because some people will retain muscle tissue. And when you drop their calories down and increase their output, they'll drop body fat. I don't know about you, but if we applied that methodology and put you through 8 to 10 weeks of hard training, you will drop aggressive body fat. Does it actually describe the process that somebody's gone through? No. How they feel afterwards, because it is a physical, external visual. Watch the videos, try and find someone that's been through the process. Don't always take a photo at face value, because it's not hard to drop body fat. It really isn't.
So from that perspective, I believe that when you're trying to gauge whether you should go with this coach, you should definitely follow him for quite some time.
Yeah, for sure.
Get to see his information, the value that he's adding. And if you feel like the value is sensible in a way that maybe it's backed by science, it's backed by studies, it's backed by certain people, then you can start to initiate better.
Yeah. I think the science side of it's an important part. You know, are they talking about more than just the body? You know, because I think that the process of a great coach will embody the mind, the body, and the training principles behind what they're doing. If they're not talking about the training principles that they're using, that's a sign to me that they're not too clued up on what they're doing.
I'm sure you heard of Huberman.
Yes.
What do you think of him in terms of his knowledge spreading?
Phenomenal. Yeah, I was actually sitting on a panel of longevity experts at an event in Dubai last week. Longevity is something I'm very passionate about. For me, my own health, and a lot of the science behind sleep optimization, nutrition, things like peptides and ice baths. A big believer in all of this. Again, it's backed by research, but it's been going on for a long time. I think that there's a lot of people missing a trick by not looking into how well and how healthy we can be. So yeah, I like Huberman stuff.
So you want to say that there are sometimes misguided studies usually being shared over by...
Well, I think there can be a bias towards a product. Again, it comes down to doing your own research and speaking to people. You know, I would like to look at things first and say, okay, well, a lot of people are pushing ice baths at the moment. I have an ice bath. Am I going to tell you that I've seen incredible progress from my ice bath? No, I haven't. Not considering other stuff that I do from a longevity perspective. Does it make me feel refreshed when I get in? Is there a lot of research that people are putting behind their own products? Yes, but I'm quite happy to say that I feel refreshed and good, but I've not necessarily seen the long-term benefits of it, having used it for over a year. So I think that you've got to be also okay with that people are pushing products, and they will skew research to support
their business.
Of course.
Now, let's go to the topic of Dubai.
Yes.
Now, you recently moved to Dubai, I believe, a few months back?
2 years.
2 years back.
2 years this month.
Oh, wow. So when it comes to being in Dubai for 2 years, what made you choose Dubai out of all the other places they could be?
I came here to invest with my wife. We've been here a lot of times before. I've been here over 10, 12, maybe more ago. So I really enjoyed it. And we invested in a property, and it was just, they were calling the office, and then they said, oh, I'm so sorry, that one's gone. And I said, never mind. And we'd had a day looking at property, and we got on the flight on the way back, and I said to my wife, because every year I do a written vision with my wife, and we write a year ahead. So we've got one that says it's December 2025. We've moved into our new villa. We've had our son. We write futuristically about what will happen, and we do it together. And I said, what would you like your life to look like in a year's time? We were talking on the plane. I'll never forget writing the vision for the next year. And she said, I'd love a son and I want to walk in the sun. I'd love a son and I'd love a child and I want to walk in the sun. I said, do you think you'd ever leave the UK? She said, yeah. I said, would you move to Dubai? She went, yeah. So we just talked the flight on the way back. And then when we landed, we were, let's move. There's obviously many reasons why we chose Dubai. And, you know, initially it was the peace, the quiet. To be honest, my tax advisor at the time said, don't move because of tax.
Don't move to Dubai because of tax?
Yes.
Interestingly enough, it's the opposite. I heard most people going out of UK.
No, I understand. I understand, but this was the advice, and I really respected it because I'd lost my father at the time, and so obviously there was not him to put a different perspective on me. He said, and this is interesting for me because if you move somewhere because of the tax, but you don't like where you're moving to, it doesn't really connect the dots for me, because I would rather pay tax and be happy than I would do come here not pay tax, but not be happy here. And so before I came, I questioned to myself, am I moving because of tax? And the answer is no. I'm moving because I love the country and the city. I love the culture, the energy, and then the tax is a byproduct, it's a benefit. Because I feel that for the longevity of my family and my happiness, I'm moving here because I want to be here. And then the tax was a bonus.
So it's not because you have to be here, or because you love to be.
I'd love to be here, you know. And we went to Kite Beach one day, and the funniest, one of our happiest places, regardless of the beaches, the clubs, the luxury of everything, I think one of our happiest days was actually at Mina Al Salam on the beach, and we sat under the kind of bridge where it walks out to the pontoon, and the water was crashing in, and there was nothing apart from us, swim shorts, swim outfits, and we just sat there, and it was like, and it was a moment for us where we just went, you know, this is what makes us happy, this being here. And I watch my wife now walk my son in the mornings. She takes him for a swim in the evenings. And it's just brought a quality of life that I never thought, you know, I would ever experience. So we're very happy.
So as a fitness business coach living here in Dubai, compared to other cities, did you find that there was maybe more of a less potential for you compared to maybe in the UK or United States?
In terms of business?
In terms of business.
With the business being digital, you know, a lot of people said, oh, you know, if you move to Dubai, people will see you as this other business coach living in Dubai. I said, people will only see me like that if I'm not being true to myself. If I'm being true to myself, you'll see the same version of me that was living in London as the same version as me that's living here. I'm not going to come here and start being a different person. Some people do. That's not my style. I'm not going to go and rent a Lambo and stand underneath the Burj and say, do you want to make 7 figures? That's not me. I'm not that guy. So I was never going to change my personality. In terms of business, I'm a marketer. So my tribe's all over the world. In terms of the fitness coaches that have moved to Dubai, it's growing. It's growing. And more coaches are creating a wonderful revenue stream for themselves, and then having that question, where can I be? Where can I live? So there are quite a few coaches that I coach and mentor now with my team that are based and living in Dubai. More to come this year. Plenty. But I work with coaches in Miami, in Bali, and all over the States. So I don't feel that having to be fixed in one location is directly correlated to the business. I know if I was in America, I'd probably, with the algorithm, with marketing and a network that you build. But Dubai has created a great network of entrepreneurial fitness professionals for sure.
I feel that a lot of people that come to Dubai, they are hustling, striving to be something. They are very ambitious compared to other places in the world.
100%. But I find that coming from the UK, one thing that I love, of course, there's a lot of networks of individual people around the world that have that growth-minded network. But here, the growth-minded conversations, whether it's my wife meeting her friends by the pool, whether it's me meeting other fellow entrepreneurs and, friends around Dubai, there's just an openness to not judge, but an openness to see each other win, which I've never experienced anywhere else.
So what opportunities do you believe that fitness professionals will find here if you would recommend them?
When I first started in the fitness industry, there was no online. What I find for fitness professionals here is that the ones that are moving, the ones that are coming here, they have an opportunity to thrive in a new community of growth-minded individuals. That's one of the most amazing things. I think there's at least 15 people coming to my next event who are a crew. And that crew only got to meet each other through my network. And so when they land here, they go and train at a gym. The next thing they know, in that gym, they'll find other fitness coaches and online coaches. You go to London, you go to Nottingham in the UK, wherever you go, there's maybe the odd one in the gym. Here you can go to a gym and suddenly find a new network of people. Well, that network of people is going to help each other uplift. So in terms of fitness coaches moving to Dubai, your whole life will completely transform for the better because of the network that you'll become a part of. And I think that they have a great life in the sun. They're creating content every single day, all year round. Maybe not inside at certain points, but it's creating a life as coaches in their 20s and 30s that some people aren't seeing until their 50s and 60s. That's something that's crazy. Social media today in the fitness industry, it's creating more millionaires than I ever thought was possible.
I think it's the fastest way so far to be a millionaire.
It is blowing my mind. I mean, I'm working with coaches right now. They're in their mid-20s making $1 million a year. Plus, I coach them. I've got coaches right now, one of them speaking at my event. If they keep on track for the next 6 months, and also profit margins is upwards to 75%. I don't know many industries that 75 to 80% profit margins.
That's big.
It's huge. It's huge because they are running their business remotely. They may be at that level. I've got them. They maybe got 2 or 3 coaches working underneath them, admin assistant, people helping out with their ad campaigns. So maybe 5 people working in the company.
With the 75% profit margin, that's really good.
100%.
Yeah.
Because you've not got a huge team. And you've got a massive social media following and you're bringing a lot of income. So we have to understand that if you became that rich in the short term, Logan and Jake Paul, when they became mega superstars, I watched their Netflix documentary. They both fell out. They fell out over money. And then they had to emotionally stabilize themselves and come back together as brothers because they're growing so fast. And that's what we're seeing in the fitness industry. If you can make, let's call it dollars. If you can make $20,000 a month, you can become you can make 50, you can make 60, you can make 80 because it's about scale. And if it's scale and you've got this together, it comes quick.
When you say scale, do you mean you scale by delegating more and focusing on a bigger vision? Or is it like scaling by yourself and just trying to scale the business all the way?
You can't, in our industry, because I work in the high ticket space. So we're charging larger amounts of money, but with really high value, high service. So I'm almost like the 5-star hotel market of online coaching. So it's a premium product. It's a premium price. But much like personal training, you've only got so many people that one online coach can look after and deliver a 5-star service. So then the scalability of it is delegating. So it's hiring another coach within the company to replicate the level of service that you could create. I always talk about Emirates, for example. If you book a ticket for a flight, you go and you see the person checking you in. Okay, you then get to the lounge, you then get to the flight. It's a full process.
It's experience.
Of course it is, yeah. And in what we teach, I teach an experience. So when a client gets on a sales call, they then get onboarded, they then go through the process, they then get the result. And it is a process. We teach that process. But to do that, they need a team. And so the scalability that I teach is learning how to lead a team, hire a team, train a team, so that you ultimately, the way you can scale is the more call volume you can have in terms of the quantity of people you can onboard, the more then you can delegate to your team. So the scalability generally comes from building a team and then increasing the quantity of people coming into their world, because with their social media platforms, the amount of people that are seeing their content daily, the bottleneck in the business is actually being able to bring people in fast enough.
A lot of people seem to struggle with getting the leads. So for example, if he's a personal trainer, he's in a certain gym, he doesn't know how to exactly get the leads or the right type of leads in order to generate that income that they're looking for. So what do you think is that missing link that's preventing most people from getting potential good leads that can be converted into potential customer?
Online and personal training is very similar. Now, obviously, because I teach online, there is multiple ways online to get a customer.
How?
Okay. There is the very similar way the personal trainer would get a lead, and that is very interestingly, how I've arrived on this podcast. I like your stuff. You like my stuff. You invited me on the podcast. That's a conversation. And that conversation turned into a deeper conversation here, a conversation off camera. Who knows where the relationship might end up. But at the end of the day, imagine if you had 200 of those a day. Out of that 200, how many of those connections have you met that you've ended up doing business with, that you've ended up becoming friends with? And so let's take money out of the equation and think about networking, communicating, the doors that have opened up through your podcast, through the people. So one of the things that we have to understand about the fitness industry is we will do no business without conversations. So personal trainers talk to people every day on the gym floor. It is what I was very good at. It took me 3 months to fill my diary as a personal trainer in the first, when I first started, because I spoke to everybody. I didn't intentionally sell to anybody. I just became friendly with everybody.
So you took the action. You've been proactive rather than reactive.
Completely. So online coaches, when somebody follows them, they do not talk to them. It's the simplest thing. Thank you for following me. Is there a reason why you followed my content, or is there any specific fitness advice that I could share with you? It's a simple thing to ask people. And normally, if there is, they will ask you. And there are multiple different ways of opening a conversation in human, just normal. If I saw you and went, "Oh, Hamid, nice to meet you. I love the podcast." You could be rude and say, "Thanks." Or you could say, "Was there a particular episode you liked?" Well, the next thing I know, you and I are having a half an hour conversation and you know more about me. So if you know how to actually engage a conversation inside the messages on Instagram, and I say, "Thank you for following my content. How did you come across my page?" And they said, "A friend recommended." "Oh, which friend?" Now, if I did that to 100 people that followed me across a day or a week, and then I used some strategies to drive more new followers to my page, the connections that would build up would be amazing. Number one. Number two, we can build landing pages. We can give things away for free. Yesterday we had just shy of 500 people register for a webinar that I did on live. I think there was 25 different countries that registered.
And was this webinar mostly giving free information?
Yeah, I did an hour. I taught coaches how to build an online business, profitable online business with under 2,000 Instagram followers.
And at the end of the webinar, were you selling your business?
I basically gave the people watching the webinar live, of which we had, I think 30% of people showed up live, which is a good turnout. And I gave everybody the opportunity to have a no obligation conversation with my team for us to create a strategy with them, to be able to show them that wherever they are right now that seem to be stuck, we can solve the problem. And it's a no obligation conversation. And we had just shy of 40 calls booked in from one webinar. Well, my team now today, over Saturday and Sunday, are speaking to 40 people.
And out of those 40 people, how many would convert into potential customer?
You could easily get 15 to 20%.
All right. And we're talking about high ticket.
High ticket.
So it's a cost of usually from where...
Anywhere around, let's say, $5,000 to $6,000.
All right. Interesting enough.
So people start to do the numbers, but I've given my time. I've shown you a framework. You can go away from this webinar. Please be my guest. Try and do it on your own. Or you can consider investing. Let us show you what we can do. And the reason I say that is because I guarantee there'll be things that you've downloaded, things you've clicked and given your email address for. It's all part of the nurturing sequence. One of the things I really studied hard for the last 10, 15 years is digital marketing. The ability to take a stranger or an audience and bring them into my world to build trust, loyalty, and ultimately sell. And the ultimate reward for me is that the scalability of my knowledge over the last few years has now given me a global reach. I've written a book. My book is out there on Amazon. People download my book or people buy my book.
What is the book called?
Level Up.
Level Up.
It's a fitness professional's guide to achieving excellence in their career.
Is this for any business or
fitness professional?
Fitness.
Yeah. And the philosophy is in there very much for anybody looking to take a level up. I don't believe that there is a finish line. As Sheikh Mohammed says, excellence doesn't have a finish line. And I actually quoted that in my book because it's something that's very dear to my heart is we're never finished. Excellence it was a work in progress. And my whole thing about level up was just think of your life, Liz. What's the next step? What's the next step? What's the next step? And I think for fitness professionals, if you start to have that kind of thought process, and that's why for me, when it comes to marketing the business, I'm obsessed with not just content, but it's what's the next step after the content. Because a 30-second reel, it's a snippet. A 10-minute YouTube, it's more. A 1-hour podcast, a 1-hour webinar, and then a 2-day event with me. And I'm just building on that relationship. And a customer may not turn into a client. A follower might not turn into a client for months on end. I've had people following me for 2 years that said, haven't spent a penny with you. And I'm like, great, but now you're here. So I have a very, very long game mindset. I've been here a long time, but I give a lot, but I'm also not apologetic to sell a lot. I believe I deserve a fair exchange for the time I've given to this industry. And making my own wealth, living a life of abundance, giving everything to my family and living the life that we live, but also teaching other coaches that they can have that too. Because in our industry, I think making money and being wealthy is a hard concept for a lot of coaches to get their heads around. Because when we're changing lives, but we get paid well for it, I think that is the receipt of our work. And that's where there should be a fair exchange for it. And a lot of people keep themselves back because they don't charge their worth. They don't, receive what they deserve. And that's one thing I want to show coaches, that what we put in, we deserve to get back.
That's a very interesting concept that you're talking about. So when it comes to really knowing your worth, how do you really identify how much you're worth when it comes to adding a service or providing that service?
Well, I think it starts off with, you are a generalist. So I was teaching this yesterday. In our industry, you start off as a generalist, and then you move towards being a specialist, and then an expert and an authority. I believe now I've reached more authoritative status in the fitness industry, where people are asking for my opinions on the industry as a whole. But I started as a generalist. When you're a generalist, you have to look around the general market and say, can I fit into this mold? And in the fitness industry, there is a standard monthly fee or 6 monthly fee for coaching, just as there is personal training. And then there are some determining factors that determine your price increase. I mean, for me, I always teach coaches to create a brand of one. Start from the beginning, but then if there's demand, there's results, there's knowledge, there's credibility, there's progress, then there is demand for charging more. Some of the finest hotels in the world here just set their own price. They don't go, oh, they've lowered their price. If they believe there's a price for what they deliver, then they align that with their marketing and their messaging, and also what the customers are saying about the product and the brand. So I believe that a coach, in terms of their worth, they will lower their self-worth if they don't increase their price over time, because you will not be getting a fair exchange for the work you're putting in. Therefore, your service will lower. I believe that we increase our price over time in line with our knowledge, skill, expertise, and ability to achieve results. As a result of that, we put more in because we're getting more back. I've always believed that the more I charge, the more I put in for my customers. I should still, at the base level, be delivering a minimum level. But I truly do believe that the key to improving your self-worth as you move through your career is to charge more. Look at anybody who's employed. What happens after 2 years of not having a pay rise? They resent the industry. They resent the employer.
They resent the work.
Of course they do. They resent the work. But what if you'd done the work? You could be a senior board director by now. So you resent you for not doing the work because the career ladder in your company is there. So it's actually more to do with you've stagnated, you've not put the work in, and you've not given the employer the reason to consider a pay rise. So that's why I think in our industry, when you're self-employed, it's really important to increase your price.
Now, coming to the last very few questions. You have been in this field for so many years. What doors would you say it had opened for you in your life, for you and your family?
I feel that the industry in itself, I wouldn't be in Dubai if it wasn't for the fitness industry. I've been privileged to speak at so many events. whether it's personal training, coaching, business. I spoke on panel to do with functional medicine, and recently sat on a panel with longevity. It's opened huge doors in terms of networks and people. Like today, I'm very grateful. My following and the people I'm connected with has opened a door to meet you and talk on this podcast. So thank you. But I think above anything else, when I sit and I look out every morning and I go, I'd do the same 25 years again if I could be sat in Dubai with my son and my wife, living the life of abundance that we've created for ourselves, the independence and freedom, and not looking back saying, what if? I don't want a what if life. I want a wow life. And my wow life is very different to anybody else's wow life. It should be, travel experiences, all the things that me and my wife do with our son now. And that's all because of the fitness industry. How wonderful is that? A guy that started with a badge that said my name on the gym floor in the center of England in a gym. And I felt that I was the lowest of the low at the first day of starting. Happy, but I'm right at the bottom. Mark, can you do me a favor and clean the treadmill? That level. When I worked for my dad, I was reading the gas meters right at the bottom. And so I think that when people just question themselves in whatever career they're in right now, where are you? Because there's another level. And that opens up another door, and that opens up another door. And excellence doesn't have a finish line. And that's the thing that just keeps going by. That's why I invested in this mastermind on Monday, just gone. That's why I paid.
It's coming up in October 16, right?
Well, I've got my event this Thursday, and this Friday and Saturday. But investing in this new mentor for me and the mastermind for the company to help my company grow, the reason I entertain that is because there's so much more. There's so much more. Don't want there to be an end, and I think that's what a lot of people, I'm excited always, every day, to just help other people realize that they've not scratched the surface of what's possible. That's exciting.
Now, coming to our last question. What would be your final personal advice that you would share to fitness trainers listening to this audience? Listening to this podcast.
That knowledge of your craft, caring for other people, giving your life to serving people and achieving fantastic results with people is the fundamental thing that will never leave you. The skill that you develop, if you develop it right, will provide you and your family with the most wonderful life. And I know for some people, the materialism, the cars, the houses, that's not everybody's cup of tea. But some people, they'd like to live very, comfortably, but in a different country, maybe, but it just gives you the choice. A great mentor of mine once said to me, she wanted to write the book called What If? She was an NLP coach. She worked very closely with Richard Bandler, who created NLP. And she just said, what if, Mark? What if there could be more? What if you could be healthier? What if you could be more knowledgeable? What would it all bring? And so I live by that every single day. I'm obsessed. First thing I do at 5:45 is put new knowledge in. New knowledge, something new. Fill my brain. Give me more. I think our knowledge, something our brain is able to take a lot of. And with more of it and more connections and more people that we know, the level of abundance that we can bring into our world is ridiculous. And that's what I would want to share to any fitness professional, that you've not even scratched the surface. And after 25 years, I'm very proud that I can say, I'm still a work in progress. I still am. I'm not the finished cup of tea, not at all. But I'm very excited for what every fitness professional can achieve. And that's why I do what I do.
I would say it's been a pleasure to really have you in this podcast. And there's a lot of insightful things that I've definitely learned myself from your perspectives. Where can people find you?
So a lot of my work is on YouTube. My main platform is Instagram. So you just got to type Mark Coles, M10, or just my name across social media and you'll come across me. And my company is called Coaching Concierge, and that's how we help fitness professionals build their business and scale their business. And you'll find everything. And that's the direct in route to what I do and what my company does.
Wonderful. I'll be sure to put it in the description.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me on.